It gives me the most immense pleasure ever to introduce a dog. To introduce you to a fellow Port Slade and Hove boy, superstar DJ, international recording artist, investor and restaurateur, Mr. Norman Cook.
What a build-up. I can only be a disappointment after that build-up.
I think it's well deserved.
Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Welcome to the Big Beach Cafe.
Thank you. Not my first time.
Not your first. Well,
No.
welcome. Welcome in your official podcast tacity.
That's true. Had my 40th birthday here.
Did you?
Which was so much fun, 2 years ago.
Right.
It was great. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we had a beach party, obviously, blew up palm trees, the whole lot, and Danny sorted us out, and absolutely brilliant. Yeah, had a great time.
Another satisfied customer, folks.
And there was a few people still living like they were 19 who got carried home, but we won't go into that. So listen, thanks so much for doing this. I know how busy you are. This weekend, or the weekend before, you were out and about, you were abroad, doing stuff, jetting all over the place.
I did a little run of, started on my roof on Wednesday night, and then Serbia, Turin, and then Slovenia on Saturday.
Not bad. Good to be back home.
It's nice to be back, yeah.
And also a massive thanks to Dan, obviously, for setting us up. Really appreciate it. So that's a huge thing. So what I was going to do was mainly talk about the side of you that people don't know, which is more on the restaurateur, investor sort of side and that sort of thing. Because I think when we chatted before, when we met up, you were saying this is really fun to talk about because you don't get to talk about it.
It's not something that I've talked myself through on for the whole of my career, and not something that most people are actually that interested in, because obviously most people just want to know about rock and roll and dance music, and no one wants to know about business stuff and the catering industry and stuff like that. Which I can totally understand. It's not that rock and roll, but obviously it's something that I've been really enjoying as a sideline, aside from the music side. And so I'm just warning you, just to have a caveat that I've never talked about it in this kind of things before. So if I get things wrong or can't remember things, it's because I'm not polished. I'm not polished in this kind of interview.
So it's an exclusive.
Yeah.
Good.
You're
good.
taking my cherry, Mark.
Good. Thanks.
Let's hope it's good.
Okay, I'll do my best. Be gentle. So, in terms of that, then, how did it all start? Then.
It all started with a man called Ken Friedman, who was a drinking and party buddy of mine from the music industry, and he's American, but he spent a lot of time in England. Yeah, we just used to hang out a lot, and he was running a record label, and that got folded just when the music industry started to disintegrate.
Right.
And he very quickly just went, you know what, I've always wanted to run a restaurant, I don't want to be in the music business anymore. And made this huge, he'd spent his whole life in the music business, but he just wanted to open a restaurant. So he taught me into investing in it. And
was this on one of the drunken nights? He talked you into it?
It was over a series of drunken nights. It wasn't just one of those sort of flash in the pan. Well, I woke up the next morning and thought, oh Christ, what have I signed up for?
What have I done?
No, it was an ongoing thing, but he had, but primarily, his first crusade, way before the thing, was just to get me interested in food, because I wasn't a big eater.
Okay.
I was my pleasures in life where it didn't involve eating that much. But Ken always loved food, and he used to say, "Oh, let's go out for we're in so and so town. Let's the good food to eat in this place would be this," and I just go, "Oh, should we let's just go back to the hotel and have a drink, So he bullied me into eating, and he started introducing me into the joys, the pleasure of eating, rather than it was just something I did when I was really hungry.
Yeah, just fuel.
So he introduced me into the joys of eating for pleasure, and then a little bit of cooking, but the actual business side of it was, he just was looking for investors. luckily, because of his tenure in the music business, he had quite a good gene pool of successful musicians who had deep pockets. So so we financed the Spotted Pig, which was his first venture, and it was the first ever investment. I'd not done huge amount of investing, but it was the first one where I just enjoyed the whole process from start to finish. And to be honest, if I hadn't made any money out of it, I would have been quite happy, as long as I didn't lose my shirt on it.
Yeah.
I'd been quite happy because the whole process of it was fun.
It's almost like we get married in Vegas, me and my wife, and it always had that mentality. If you were going out to gamble, as long as you didn't lose the house, you had a good experience with it. And it was something different and quite exciting.
And it was an excuse for many afternoons wandering around New York, looking for venues, and taking inspiration, basically just eating and drinking our way around New York.
And this was before Instagram and snapping and all these types of things, right?
Yeah, and it took about 2 years to put the whole place together, but just sourcing all the things and just hearing Ken go through in his mind what he wanted to do, and he put so much love and thought into it. It wasn't just like, I'm going to open a place. It was like, he thought about where he wanted it to be, what sort of people, where geographically it should be, where it should be pitched, price-wise, vibe-wise, what he wanted to sell. And he had the whole thing. It was just watching him get all the, find a chef, find a venue, find a bar. I mean, he bought a bar before anything else. So is it like...
an actual physical
25-foot long bar from somewhere in Brooklyn, which he had to have in storage because he had nowhere to actually put it, but he had the bar. And watching that, the whole thing come to life, and then it being such a success, was just really good fun. And I was spending quite a lot of time in New York for my career, so just I had somewhere to hang, and then then realise you can get a table anytime you want and see your mates, and I just enjoyed the whole process. And to do it in the West Village in New York is quite a romantic kind of place. And it felt like every time I was in New York, I had my own little sort of Goodfellas clubhouse, which happened to then get a Michelin star. So the whole thing was just, for me, was a joy. And that got me in the path of, investing in friends who had a dream. And where I thought the dream could be fun to tag along on the ride with them. And they've always been investments of the heart or like the stomach, rather than business-wise thinking, this is a really good one. So unlike my sort of investments in football, which were definitely investments in the heart and not the head or the bank balance, these ones they stood a chance of doing well. But the main thing was for friends of mine to either open a restaurant or expand their business, and for me to just vicariously enjoy the ride and the food.
And where exactly in sort of New York? So it's West Village is the exact...
West Village.
Because it's quite famous. With Spotted Pig, right? It's pretty well known. But going the fact that Ken was a complete unknown he's well known in the music industry, but unknown in the restaurant business. It's about 3 blocks south of the meatpacking district. Okay.
Just by the end of the High Line. West Village, and it's an area that he knew well, and one of his dreams about it was it had to be for local people first, because New York's notoriously fickle. Right, and you can be big one, but you have to have a kind of a base clientele who actually use you on a regular basis to keep it going. And in fact, before it was at one point it was going to be called the Local, but there's union connotations with the local in New York, but he just wanted it to be a local place that served really good food. But I mean, it was kind of billed as New York's first gastropub. Obviously, he'd been over here hanging out with Fergus Henderson and all that contingent. So he kind of took a bit of that, a bit of English pub culture, which obviously would work in New York. No, probably nowhere else in America, but in New York it would work. That neighbourhood, local thing, and just his love of food, especially sort of Italian and American. Well, Italian American English, which is kind of how it ended up. And ended up using a British chef, April Bloomfield. He sort of sourced her, and then when he didn't have the place, he put her in shape, and he saw something to train while he was waiting until he actually had somewhere for her to cook.
So he's got a bar and a chef.
He had a bar and a chef before he had the premises.
And then in terms of how it was received, so once it launched, I mean, it seemed to be incredibly well received in terms of a launch, right?
I mean, he'd all that thought I think was worth it because
Yeah.
he didn't go off half cock. He used all his sort of celebrity connections
Yeah.
and made it like the hippest place to be seen immediately. April and him just had a menu which was revolutionary for New York, but also very, very good quality.
Yeah.
And it was just from the literally from the night we opened, it was the success.
It was banging. Great.
And it was great. And like I said, I was spending a lot of time in New York working there, and so I had my own little day. I used to do my interviews in there and just act like
did
I
you
owned
have
the
a
place.
table?
I did
table?
have a particular table that they
Okay.
would actually move people. I feel embarrassed to talk about it, but yeah, because the thing is, at the Pig, there's no bookings.
Right.
You can't book a table, so
Yeah.
I would have to just come in and they would just oust or shuffle along the people. Also, there's not a lot of room there.
It's sounding a bit Michael Caine-esque. What was his place? Is it
That was
it wasn't the
Langham's, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. He used to have his table
That was
and people
before
used
my.
to...
See, that was before my eating days. I think I went there once.
The other days. So, what's kind of the story of the Spotted Pig since then? So, what's kind of happening now? How's it all go? Is it just continued to go incredibly well? What's going on now out there?
We've had a Michelin star for 10 years running now, I think. But also the whole Ken and April empire built up. So
Yeah.
there's now, I think they between them had 6.
Okay.
There's one in San Francisco, one in LA, and about 4 in New York, of which I'm involved in 3.
Great.
But recently, Ken and April, there's a bit of a change going on. Ken and April have gone their separate ways.
All
and
right.
I think she's going to have the West Coast and he's going to have New York. And we're just sort of divvying it out at the moment. They're going through a bit of a divorce.
Sensible way to do it, I guess, in terms of divvying up. Because I've been watching a lot of the Chef's Table stuff on Netflix, and there's been a lot of kind of similar stories. There was a lady that had, is it La Brea bread? And yeah, similar kind of thing. It was sort of power couple going really well, and then unfortunately things change. Things move on.
It's an amicable divorce. Like,
Yeah.
like the best divorces, it's all very amicable.
Nice. So then, what else then? So other things that started to tickle your fancy. This is going quite well in terms of first investment.
Yeah.
Football ones, obviously, as well.
Foot one's an ongoing one. It would probably be my son would ever see any money back from it. Rather than in my lifetime, I don't think I'll ever see that money back. Even with us in the Premier League, no, I don't think that. So that wasn't really an investment. So,
else.
but I mean, like I said, I've never. That old adage, never invest any money that you're not prepared to lose. But for me, it is just it's having some fun. Enabling somebody else to achieve to realise or attempt to realise their dreams.
Yeah.
And for me, just to sort of swan around taking the credit for it on the good days and moaning a bit on the bad days. Yeah, I mean, I don't get involved in none of the places that I've been involved in. I've got hands-on involved in it. But I mean, the Spotted Pig, I did a few shifts in the kitchen, which is great fun. Until we got the Michelin star, then I wasn't allowed in the kitchen for fear if they found out.
Turned up.
But yeah, there's so many kind of fringe benefits of having it, and I like to sort of be a part of it, but I haven't got time or the talent or the application to do the actual hard work. But then this place is probably the place obviously closest to my heart.
Yeah.
In every respect.
Yeah. And so, what was the story about this then? Because we moved down to Portslade 3 years ago. We're hearing all sorts of this happened and that happened, and we use it all the time. But it'd be really good to find out when this changed hands. I feel like.
I live about 300 yards up the road here, so this park has been where I brought up both my kids. And over the years, this place has always been here. And it was, at first it was sort of kind of just like your sort of local greasy spoon, very friendly and very much the kind of hub of the community around here.
Yeah.
And then gradually, that guy retired, and then gradually it kind of it wasn't so good, and then eventually it was Heather Mills took it over.
That's right.
And opened it as a vegan place, which, bless Heather, was, I think, her best intentions. It just wasn't very popular with the locals. There wasn't enough vegans really to sustain it.
Yeah.
And
even now it'd be a tough sell in the area that it's in, right? Next to a
because
kids'
we're not
park
really
and-
we're not in
Yeah.
part of the muesli belt down the centre town. And but also more importantly, I mean, we're surrounded by a park, which is mainly populated by kids.
Yeah.
And kids don't tend to be vegans. They like ice cream made out of cow's milk, not soya. And the parents want a coffee with milk in it. You know, so it was hideously unpopular. And I'm sure Heather won't mind me saying that. But so and Danny and I would sit there with our kids who would be moaning about their vegan ice cream, thinking one day if we ever get a chance, we'll reclaim it for the dairy products and the meat eaters.
Because I'm like this with the View, you know, the venue.
Yeah.
Every time I'm out with my dad's mates, he goes, wonder how much it would cost to get that. It's a gold mine as well.
It's,
you know?
I mean, it's a little bit that kind of with Nail and I, we'll buy this fucking place. You know, it was a little bit of that, but also at the same time, Dan, who is the brains behind all this, Danny had been working for me on another failed venture of a boat, and he'd been on the road as a rock and roll touring chef and private chef, and he wanted to settle down and get his feet under some kind of table. And so it was, you know, it was definitely Danny. He was like, I could take this, and I was like, are you sure you could do it? You could run it? And he's like, yeah, I could do it, and that's what I want to do. And it was his way of getting off the road and settling down.
Yeah.
And our only remit was to reclaim it for this community.
Yeah.
And give them what they want.
Yeah.
And now they didn't want Michelin starred food, they want, you know, high end stuff, and they don't want vegan stuff, and so we kind of figured we knew what they wanted, and just to make it the hub of the community again, which we're very, very chuffed that we've done.
Yeah, and also beers at 11 o'clock when it's a nice sunny day next to the paddling pool is
Yeah.
ideal too.
Yeah, well, that maybe we'll come on to that later. No, because there's other things we could do with the place that I'm not interested in doing.
Yeah.
Like you having your birthday party is great, but I didn't want to get into being running a nightclub or, you know. So we're quite choosy about what we do, and I mean, I think, you know, the idea is not to make a shed load of money, and it's not to indulge our own kind of egos or fantasies about what we can do. It's just to give people what they want and have fun doing it and make it a friendly, approachable place, and you know, have things from sort of film showings to, you know, dog shows.
That's right. Well, your Instagram feed was quite a bit, wasn't it?
Fates. Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the pinnacle of our relationship with the community.
Yeah.
Was to actually hold a village fete in the.
Yeah, that was great.
And also to for the Friends of Hove Lagoon community, you know, steering and pressure group to be based around the cafe and started by all the people who use the cafe, which is exactly what we wanted. So we are quite literally the hub of the community.
No, it made sense. And then also brilliantly, I came down too early, and then I went home, and then my mates were showing me videos of you DJing in that little van thing, and I was like, oh great. I missed it, never mind. So then in terms of any other restaurants then, because, you know, you got Okanami, you know, that was on there. So I guess it'd be quite good to find out, you know, what you think's went right, you know, during your time, you know, sort of running restaurants and cafes and things like that, and other things that might have went wrong as well, and, you know, any learnings for people that are listening and actually wanting to start up a business.
God, that's the big question. Everything was going all right until you asked that one. I don't know. I mean, there are no rules apart from, I think, knowing that what you want to do is what everybody else wants done.
Yeah.
So it's not a vanity thing, because the worst restaurants are always like the vanity ones, where the chef wants to cook this and show off what he wants to do, and no one wants to eat it, or some celebrity just wants his name plastered all over some burger joint. You know, I think the vanity is not a good reason to do it. So you either got to be after just wanting to be part of the entertainment business, giving people what they want, or you just want to make money. Now, either of those two are valid reasons for doing it. But beyond that, I think every single food outlet, be it a restaurant or, you know, at any level, it's just about being in the right place and giving people what they want. Because you can have a fantastic restaurant, if it's in the wrong place, it's rubbish. You can have the best spot in the world and still manage to cock it up if you don't get your price point right, you don't get the food right, or just the ambience. And so I suppose all the people that I've worked with, whether it's Ken, Dan, or Mike at Okinami, they had a dream, and when they explained the dream to me, I bought into that dream. And it would be like, picture the city, and you can kind of just feel the ambience and the smells coming from the kitchen, and the sort of people that are in here, and the general hubbub, and how loud the music is, and all those things are really important. I mean, I've picked up little things along the way about, I don't know if it's much in England, but America, there's very noisy restaurants.
Yeah.
Where it could be a fabulous, everything's stripped back and bare walls.
Yeah.
But if it makes the noise resonate, there's certain places I've been where you get all this kind of, reverb coming from people talking, so that makes them talk louder. So then, if it's something, and then they try and talk over the music, and then you get this hubbub, so everybody talks louder together, and the whole place just becomes quite noisy.
It's quite stressful. Which
some people really like, and if you're in Hoxton or something, you probably want a place that's really noisy, and everybody's shouting. Then other places, that's like idea of hell. I just want to be able to chat at normal. So it's finding the right, the right shtick in the right place. And it's not just about food. I'm under no illusions that it's just about the food.
Far from it. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was Thomas Cox at Corinthia Hotels. He's just opened with Tom Kerridge. They've opened this new kind of fabulous brassy thing, and he was sort of saying, is it the champagne that you're drinking, and is it the lobster souffle, or is it the people that you're with, or is it, and actually it's all those things, it's everything. It's so much to try and get right. And the mistake I saw definitely from the chain restaurants, we were talking about Yo Sushi earlier on, again, you see them all closing, and it's that location thing. They've got the consistency, people know what they're getting, but a lot of the time it's the location, because there's pressure from investors to be in Reading. So they take the thing slightly off pitch to get the one in Reading.
So they
try
just
and make
get
the
one
sums
street
back.
wrong. Yeah, I suppose I think the thing with things with rolling out chains like that is you can't be on top of it. Whoever it was who had that vision and had that thing, they physically can't replicate it in 30 different places at once around the country, so they have to dep it out, and things get watered down as they get kind of depped out. I think also with the chains, it's like, it might not, what would work in one town might just not work. People just don't
get it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Don't get it or don't want it, or both.
Well, I remember we opened Yo Sushi in Glasgow, and I was kind of standing outside all very proud of it, and it was my home sort of city and all this. And then I saw this woman pull her 4 or 5 year old kid away and went, "That's raw fish, you won't like that. Right, we're going to McDonald's." And you're just going, no, come in. But the kid was perfectly happy with that, I think,
Now you see, but don't you think that if you were opening an independent Japanese restaurant in Glasgow, you'd be thinking, no, I'm going to get you in, I'm going to say to you that Japanese food isn't just raw fish. We cook a lot of stuff too. And there's a whole world of Japanese food that isn't, because having had Okinami, that I encounter people who go, "Oh, I'm not coming there, I don't like raw fish." It's like, well, that's like saying, I'm not going to McDonald's because you don't like beef.
You don't like gherkins.
Yeah, but if it's a chain, they're just, like you said, it's just like a vanity thing that we have to have one in that place, whether they want it or not. But and I can see them, a year in, somebody going, "Oh, the Glasgow one's not doing that well." Now, it's not.
Or even worse, what they do is then cut. They compromise on the quality of the ingredients, and then the customers can smell it. You know when your baguette's got shorter, or your sushi is like a Mohican of nigiri across the top of the rice, or do you know what I mean? So I think customers are savvy.
Yeah, it's because there does seem to be an awful lot of branding going on with I'm not even going to call them restaurants, with food outlets. Chain food outlets do seem to be just getting hideously. I think it's because a lot of the other high street shops are shutting down. They're getting the prime locations.
Yeah,
but there isn't room for all of them, surely.
No.
enough people who aren't discerning about their eating. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we're just being really snobbish and middle class about it. I do apologise. Please forgive me.
I'm really excited about this muesli belt, though. I quite fancy getting a house there. I'm quite excited about that. Might go back into Hove. So, in terms of the market and what you're seeing in the UK and stuff. So, Brighton's such a exciting place for food and drink, right? You know, I've started to get involved in, you know, the restaurant awards and these kind of things as well. And I mean, you were drawn to Brighton early. So, what's the?
I wasn't drawn to Brighton for the food.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as I said, I wasn't into food at all. I had other delights for me. No, it's interesting you say that, because Brighton traditionally didn't have any high-end food. We've never had a Michelin star down here, and we had one really high-end bum paston place, which eventually died out. Yeah. But there just isn't the demand for really top-end, expensive food. Yeah. And I expect maybe it's because of our proximity to London, and people are like, well, if I want it, I'll go up to London for it. But having said that, there's always been a very, very healthy sort of cafe society. Mm-hmm. And then most recently, with the whole kind of foodie revolution, there's places like 64 Degrees and The Set and Etch and people, things that are trying, but not high end and not, Michelin star territory, just interesting. But that for me is that is Brighton. Yeah. Brighton is never in it. It's always just gone for interesting, liberal, experimental.
Yeah. Or Silo. For example, as well, Suitland, and a lot of people are like, don't get this, but he was quite funny actually, the owner or the chef chap there, and he went in the papers and was like, yeah, Brighton, you're not ready for me yet, kind of thing. Which is that was good. Yeah, he didn't make himself many friends saying that. Well, I would have thought if anywhere in the world was ready for Silo, it would be Brighton. It'd be Brighton. He couldn't have pitched it better, to be honest. I think the restaurants that we were always proudest of were always Terre à Terre and Food for Friends, and the Muesli Belt ones than. I mean, even with Okinami, I tried to, when we first opened, tried to get Mike to pitch it more in kind of Nobu territory, and he was having none. Wasn't having it. He was like, no, we're not London, we're not Park Lane, and we don't want to do. He said, I don't want to cook. He said, I like traditional Japanese food. I don't want to do all this fusion stuff. Yeah. And he said, plus, it's just not the right place to do that. New Street's a tough sell for that. You've got a lot of buskers and and all that. Yeah, on New Road. On New Road. Sorry. I thought it was a prime location, and it did deal right. I'm meaning in terms of a Nobu side thing. I thought if you're next to the Theatre Royal, darling. True. I mean, how much? The Colonnade. Yeah. A wee bit of gin and could have done. Yeah. Overlooking the Royal Pavilion. I think if it was going to work anywhere in Brighton, then that would be the place. Yeah. But. There's something about Brighton that we just can't sustain. There isn't that much money about, but there's a lot of people who like interesting food and interesting and provocative. Something different. I mean, I was so interested, like when the Ivy opened, for example, and I missed you that night as well. I was meant to go to the opening party and I didn't get to go. I was at a meeting or something. So Charlie, you're getting the good stuff coming here. Anyone, you can watch me DJ anytime. You'll get being able to hang out here. That's the best side the real deal. That's the real deal. This is my big triumph. But when that opened, I was a bit like, I was trying to figure out who it was for, if you see what I mean, because I was thinking about all my sort of friends, and then there's the foodie set, and then there's the tourist set, and I was but again, it seems to be going great, guys. I think what you said was right. It was all of them. It was all about the tourists love it. The people who it's birthday, so they want to go somewhere special where people wear white waistcoats. But it's a sort of occasion. But the foodies will go there just to see if the shepherd's pie is as good as we've heard. Yep. So I must admit when I was at the opening night, I was thinking, but who is going to come in here? Yeah. But it's been an absolute hit. Yeah. And it's helped apparently that whole area as well, because I was talking to a couple of people who own other restaurants and brasseries in that area, and I thought, you're dead in the water, mate, kind of thing. And it was actually, it's just brought more people up. Are you talking Biwa here? Possibly.
All right, okay.
So
Yeah,
apparently
I would have thought it would have buried
yeah.
similar restaurants in that area.
Didn't want to say, but yeah. So but I think it seems to be a real draw, and I think the rooms look. I think if you get put through the back, it's not as great an experience, but in the front, you're just like, wow, this is something special.
You do feel quite special. And I mean, the most ironic bit is that it used to be the post office, and when I was DJing at the lavish, spectacular champagne reception opening party, I was there going, so what do you think of the place? I said, I can't get over the fact that I used to cache my gyros like 5 foot over there. That was where the window was.
Nice.
How times have changed.
And then out and about in Brighton, I mean, have you got any sort of go-tos or favourites that you really love around here?
For eating, many. I think. Oh God, do I have to be diplomatic here or? No, just say it. Sorry, anyone who I forget. No, 64 Degrees I think is probably the best quality food and the most exciting. Second, Silo, I would say second. I really do like what he does with food. He just does, things where you're like, what? How did that get to taste like that or look like that? But I am regular at the set.
Mm-hmm. Who are moving away from the set menu.
In fact, I had the last set menu that they ever did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
A couple of weeks ago, and they just said, this is the last time we're doing it, and we were the last customers that night.
Brilliant.
They're going a la carte. Which would be interesting.
The crab bow is good. I was there the other day, so the crab bow was great, and the chorizo croquette thing was excellent from the new.
I've played that in mind. Etch, obviously very good. Then I love Latino, Argentinian.
I know. Next to Cafe Malbec. Is it at Hope Town Hall?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's another favourite. What are my other favourites, Dan? Isaac At, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous.
I forgot Isaac At. Murmur.
Never been yet.
Murmur's good. Yeah, Riddle and Fins. Riddle and Fins is my kind of, that's been my local for many, many years.
Very special.
I mean, there's really good, but they're all very much that kind of. Sin Sin.
Yep. Big Beach Cafe. We're getting heckled.
I'm getting prompted.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And then have you sort of heard about the Oktoberfest stuff that was going on as well? Did you see that? That was quite a cool thing for Brighton. I thought.
No.
So basically, what a bunch of guys did was every October now are going to do a menu at what was voted the top 20 restaurants for 20 quid. So people can go and experience maybe things they thought were a bit too high end for them. So Little Fish Market or Chin Chin or whatever.
Oh, Little Fish Market.
Yes.
Sorry, I forgot that in
Duncan,
my role honour. Actually, that might be the best food in Brighton.
Yeah, it was voted top in this awards, in this particular one. But I think it's quite a great thing, if you can go out for 20 quid.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine the other night, she went on a restaurant crawl. Where they had a course at each different restaurant.
Oh, was it?
It's like a walking tour. Like a walking tour.
Yeah.
That's a neat little idea.
Yeah.
I think the nicest thing about Brighton is that it's small enough that everyone knows each other. So there's people help each other out, and there's quite a nice sort of community. And most of the chefs are kind of sort of incestuous. They've all shagged each other, either metaphorically or in real life. But there's quite a kind of close knit thing rather than bitchy wars and people trying to undermine each other.
Yeah.
We're all fairly in it together. Especially restaurateurs in Brighton kind of feel they have to stick together just to survive. There's got to be some kind of because it's not. Yeah, we're not in. Brighton's much more known for this, the nightlife and the hens and stags and partying than the food.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad way to start, but it doesn't mean you haven't got a license. If you open a nightclub in Brighton, you kind of know you can get some kind of business going. You just where you pitch it.
Yeah.
But the restaurants, there's a very limited gene pool of people who can afford to eat out that much.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Well, I think one of the things I think the guys quite admirably are trying to do is position Brighton as almost like the second foodie city, outside of London. That's the dream.
It's getting there. There's a long
Yeah,
way to go.
so
we
long
we
way
were
to-
starting very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
low in the rankings, I think.
Definitely. Well, need to get Portslade High Street to.
So that'd be the day, yeah. When
Oh, I think there's a
Boundary
microbrewery
Road.
opening though.
Sorry?
There's a microbrewery opening on Portslade High Street.
Is that it?
Yeah,
That's it.
Foghorn. It's called Foghorn. I think it's a guy that used to be. You remember a band called White Lies? In
Sort
mid
of,
2000s. Yeah, I think it's a keyboard player that's opening it. So we're all quite excited because it's kind of the end of our road.
Gentrification is
all
actually finally coming to Boundary Road.
It's happening.
No, because I thought because it came down, we got like small batches.
Small
like,
batches
down
there.
I thought it had just gone straight down the coast road. I
To
didn't
Shoreham.
think it just sort of fast tracked to Shoreham on the gentrification.
There's going to be
stuff.
one thing with people with monocles and waxed moustaches and things like that. So penny farthings.
Whoops! There goes the neighbourhood.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you're not from around here. So another thing we were talking about just on what's good and bad and all these things was review sites. So I noticed a little while ago there was something in the Argus maybe or a couple of papers saying you were talking about review sites and stuff. It's been quite well documented on the podcast that we've had. Lots of people with different opinions. Tom Kerry's saying I don't ever look at TripAdvisor. Other people saying I look at it religiously and da. What's your view?
I think the reason Tom Kerridge wouldn't look at it is because Tom Kerridge never finds himself in a city far away from his knowledge,
Yeah.
and he's looking for somewhere good to eat.
Yeah.
That's the reason he doesn't like. And see, the thing is, if you've saved up all your pennies to go to a Tom Kerridge restaurant, it's this great occasion, and if it's been a lovely night, at the end of it, you want to share it with people.
Yeah.
I went to Tom Kerridge. If you go to your local cafe in the kids' play park and you have an all right bagel and a nice cup of coffee, you don't normally feel compelled to write a really glowing review on TripAdvisor. You just come again. However, if something goes wrong or you've got a bit of beef with that place, it's quite easy to write a bad one. So from in our end of the food chain, I find that the people who are satisfied aren't driven to write in TripAdvisor.
True.
And the only people who do are the moaners.
Yeah.
And it's the same with a lot of social media and a lot of things. It's only the moaners who can be bothered to do it.
Yeah.
But I think for real high end restaurants or very creative, inventive restaurants that are doing something different, I think it's great. I mean, I find myself in foreign cities a lot looking for somewhere to eat, and it does work for when you're looking for good, interesting food.
Yeah.
But in terms of a kind of a mum and pop operation like us,
Yeah.
we only really get to hear about TripAdvisor when something bad's happened, when someone's been upset, and so for me, it's kind of it's not. For some people, it can be the making of you. It can be your salvation. It can be your bread and butter.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're very, very careful about it. But for us, it's just we're just sort of a loser. From if we forget to clean the toilets once, we're pasted for it.
Get hammered.
But I would personally treat it in the same way as I treat reviews of my gigs or records.
Right.
Which is don't read them.
Yeah.
And if someone brings it up, if it's good, then take the credit and enjoy it, and if it's not, just call them pig fuckers and move on.
Well, that kind of thing would go viral though, which would be great, and that would get you more. That would get you more.
Yeah, no, I'm not slagging off anyone who's ever slagged us off for TripAdvisor. Some of them, no, I mean some of them. A lot of the time, it's good to learn. But I don't know. If you are watching this and you have been to the cafe and you've had a good experience, please let us know. Don't be shy, because the haters aren't.
Well, so there was a couple of final things. Well, I know we'll need to let you head off. But in terms of sort of future ambitions, then for you, what are you thinking on this side of things?
Well, in whole life, or with like restaurateurs?
Well, we're here. Well, we could do both. I
think diversification. Mm-hmm. I kind of, for years and years and years, I was so absolutely set in music, and all I wanted to do was music, and music and partying.
Yeah.
And then gradually, as I've got older, my horizons have broadened with football, food, and just lately, the arts or art. And some charity stuff, and I'm really enjoying being able to do one day a week on each. And just keeping them all sort of bubbling around.
Nice.
And a lot of them interweave.
Yeah.
And a lot of them they're sort of mutually symbiotic.
Yeah.
And so that would be my only thing would be to diversify and have so much going on in my life that I could choose which hat I wanted to have on that day, rather than just thinking, I'm a DJ. I get up, I get on a plane, I go and play to people.
Yeah.
It's great. Or I run a restaurant, therefore I go in there every day and I wash out meals, and and it's nice to have so many other things that you're involved in. And as I get older, it's much more manageable to do that, and but also it just means I can indulge all my passions in life, not just music, because I do love my food and I do love my football, and maybe cooking, maybe one day, one day when the gigs are drying up, I'd like to spend more time. I on Christmas Day we were doing Christmas with the Wasted Strays, and I actually cooked in the kitchen here for the first time ever in 4 or 5 years.
Nice.
First time I actually cooked in the kitchen.
Brilliant.
Honestly, it's really exciting for me. It was brilliant. Learned how to use a new dishwasher, big industrial dishwasher. I was like a pig in shit. So maybe diversification actually into doing some work in this cafe rather than just sitting in the corner and holding court.
And then in terms of the Martlet stuff as well and the charity stuff, do you want to sort of chat a wee bit about that and see what was going on there, because it was such a great thing for the local area?
Well, it just again it ties in with my musical career as well as the cafe and my love of art. Over this summer, I've been promoted to ambassador for Martlet, so I'm kind of like a patron, which means I've sort of committed to a certain amount of fundraising and preaching. And we've managed to tie it in with all my other loves. Like I walked a 26-mile marathon around the Snail Art Trail, and then my thing of art. So then we commissioned a snail to be at the cafe, and then we decided to have a street art exhibition here, with the half the proceeds go to Martlets, and then I DJ'd at their ball. So it's like kind of as a DJ and with my connection of the cafe and everything. They thought we end up in an arty fundraising, very much part of the local community hub of just, I don't know, all my various hats all being worn at once.
Brilliant.
Which is great, but especially when you can do the whole thing in the name of raising money for a hospice that does wonderful work, and probably half the people in Brighton have been touched by the work they've done. Mm-hmm. They do, and once you've been touched by it, you never forget it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just such an event when they pop up everywhere. It was Snow Dogs before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then this one as well. So I think one of my friends, they got one at Hanover, and then someone had to keep it in their house, so they just had it like in their window, and those people like stopping to one of the Snow Dogs.
I met that when I was walking the snails. We met the Snow Dog halfway down Hanover.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the car park now, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're very proud of it over there. So hopefully, if you got one in Port Slade, it might.
But yeah, I mean the whole snail thing, mixing sort of music, art, my relationship with the community, everything, it was sort of kind of all rolled into one big happy ball.
Brilliant. And then the final couple of things then was talking about just advice then. So someone's got the dream, it's another Danny or whoever, and what's their first steps to realising the dream then? What do you think?
I don't know, you just have to believe in the dream. It's like people ask me about becoming a musician or a DJ, and it's just, you just have to not give up.
You
have to hope that you're good enough to do it, and at the same time take the knocks and just keep plugging away until you run out of people to shut doors in your face. And hopefully if you're good, then doors open. I don't know, I mean the good thing about trying to get into the music business nowadays is it doesn't cost so much, because the technology of making records at home and promoting yourself virally is much cheaper. You don't have to go and be beholden to big record companies anymore. Sadly, if you want to get into the restaurant business, you do need investors. You need a lot of money to set it up. Unless you're just, you just chef your way to the top. I think probably, yes, I suppose in the same way that a DJ would do gigs to get himself noticed to be able to put records in, I suppose you just if you're going the chef route rather than being an entrepreneur, if you're doing the chef route, if you keep doing it well enough, you'll get promoted, and then one day someone will say, "Why don't you open your own place? I could back you." But I don't know. I mean, I'm still very much a beginner. I'm still very much a naive greenback in terms of the restaurant business, which is why I'm still this sort of wide-eyed kid going, "Woo, brilliant, we got a big dishwasher." But I think with anything creative that you're doing, you've got to be having fun doing it. Because if you're just doing it for the money, people tell.
Yeah.
And if you're just going through the motions because you feel it's what you ought to do, people can tell. People get turned on by your wide-eyed enthusiasm and joy of what you do.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. But even that isn't a guarantee that you'll be successful, sadly. But it's if you haven't got that, then you're shafted from before go. Yeah.
And then one last thing is tips for choosing the perfect restaurant playlist.
Oh, it's weird because I often find myself thinking you only really notice when it's wrong.
That's true.
And I've never sort of thought, I love this restaurant because the music they play is so good. But there's ones where it's like, this place would be great apart from the shit jazz.
Is it Jeff Goldblum? No. I seen a tweet from him the other day which was marvellous, and it said they call me Jazzy Jeff, which I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah, that's
he did quite well. I quite liked that from him.
He's a better comedian than a pianist, obviously. Oh, sorry, Jeff. No, I don't know. I don't think music's ever sold a restaurant.
True. Yeah.
But it might have held a few back. I mean, it's weird for me to say, but don't have it too loud. It's probably the biggest rule of, unless that's what you want to do. But it's not conducive to chatting and to enjoying your food.
No.
To be like, save that for a nightclub.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's weird because I do actually curate the playlist for here, and all I do is just go through the contents of my whole library and just pick out the ones that are not appropriate. They're either too jolly and much to, or they've got swearing in them because obviously we're a family restaurant. Yeah. So all I do is to take out the ones that are unacceptable, and then what I'm left with is good.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. And also, but rotating enough that the staff don't get driven to stabbing customers.
Well, I used to work years ago in John Menzies. Remember John Menzies? And next door was a Littlewoods, and they had a happy hour. And guess what they played for?
Oh, no, really?
An hour every day.
Yeah, I do apologise. If I was remotely connected to the song they might have been playing, I do apologise.
It was too much. Right, so last thing is, anything else coming up for you that we've missed or we should talk about?
I feel compelled. I found it mercenary to do it, but I'll get caned by my manager if I don't, to plug my arena tour at the end of January. That's probably the only reason they'll let me do it. It's like, when you're going to bang on about food, you're probably going to say something. Someone say something about Jeff Goldblum that'll end up in the papers. At least plug the arena tour, which starts at the end of February. We're playing Wembley Arena and Manchester, Nottingham, Wembley, Cardiff, Dublin, Birmingham, Glasgow, Hydro.
Yep.
Ticket. What's the other one? Dublin. I said Dublin.
You said Dublin. Yeah.
My first ever arena tour. Probably my first and only arena tour.
Okay.
But we've got this show. We did it at the O2 last year, where we're playing the round. So it ceases to be arena. It just becomes a very big nightclub. Right. With me kind of having fun in the middle, enjoying it with everyone. Brilliant. So it's quite a different DJ show, and it's kind of. But because it's such a big show indoors, we can throw all bells and whistles, so all the production gags that I can throw into it.
And how many dates in total? Is it like?
It's 7 arenas.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, 7 arenas, but playing in places like Nottingham that I don't normally play.
Yeah.
And get a chance to play.
Cool. And any Archies coming up soon?
Archies, but probably can't. Well, it's sold out already.
It's sold out already, yeah. No, I looked, and then I was like, I'm going to be in Scotland. So I'm going to miss it. So never mind. Cool.
Martlett, yes. That's a benefit for Martlett's. The Archies on the 22nd, but it's sold out.
Excellent. Oh well, have fun. Well, Norman, thanks so much for talking to us.
Well, thanks for listening. Was that all right?
Really enjoyed it. It was amazing.
It's my first non-music based podcast, and yeah, I feel it went well for me. If it went well for you,
Went great. Yeah, thanks so much for
the
that.
earth moved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.